In the upper right, folks, in the blue, he is, for the Afreeca Freaks, it's soO. And the bottom left in the red, I believe currently teamless. His contract with GP is now over. He is Protoss Incarnate, Classic. And man, PvZ is good. PvZ is rapidly becoming almost my favorite matchup with how the style that hero has introduced, with how powerful, how map control heavy it is. It's been a lot of fun. Now, of course, on the flip side, you do run into this scenario where it's a little turtly, it's not great, and in general, Protoss players have started to be a little bit more turtly than they were, say, during Valencia. Although that has also started to change. We've started to move into a more active play once again. But for a while, at least, Protoss players were starting to realize that they can kind of get everything the aggressive version of hero style got them, while not putting themselves in a position where they may take too much damage, where they may lose their stalkers, and where they could actually go double forge more often because their defense was so strong with shield batteries. But anyways, we don't know exactly what Classic is going to do at this point. Cybercore will complete soon, and that will give us a bit more insight. This is, of course, Tropical Sacrifice. It's a big map. It is allowed, or it allows you to do things a little more, well, I'm not even gonna say it allows you. It kind of forces you into a more of a macro game. 4 bases are kind of free, and, well, as I say that, though, I was gonna say that the normal response then is to go Stargate. There's a decent amount of dead airspace. But soO's going straight Twilight. And we have seen some very effective Adept Glaives play. Somewhat recently on this map. Man, who did this recently that I was really impressed with? I can't remember what it was. But anyways. Now, there we go. Glaives are going to be on the way. So Classic, he's going aggressive here in this game number 1. Other question, though, is whether this is going to be 3-gate or 4. Because there is a build that Zhao has been using, that Hero's been messing around with a little bit. And Patty Mac, and actually North America, has been taking his own very, very stylistic approach to. But it's only 3-gate. It gets a much quicker third base. And then you have a couple options. You can go standard Disruptor Robo out of that. You can go double Stargate out of that. It's super flexible. But if it doesn't get enough damage done, or it doesn't keep the Zerg back, it absolutely can be smacked aside with save roach timing. Something like that. And while Tropical Sacrifice is a big map, and it's kind of hard to find your way up one of these ramps, the rush distance is still not incredibly quick. So, okay, it will be 4-gate Glaives. Classic reaching back into the bag of tricks and taking us back to... It was Stats at Katowice. That was it? No, it was Zest. It was Zest's Katowice, where he lost in the finals to Rogue, who had, when Zest had done this like every time and killed everyone, but Rogue finally downloaded it enough, and it was a 4-1-4-0, something like that. But okay, here we go. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Glaive's just about done. Warp Prism is on the way. The Gateway's finishing up. This is timed out very well coming in from Classic. And let's see how much damage gets done. There is no Roach Warren, folks. soO is rather slow on that one. He's being kind of greedy, actually. Really, he hasn't seen much. He knows that there's no... Actually, doesn't even know that there's no third. He hasn't even looked. Oh, he's got Lings in the natural, but he doesn't know. And that means that this is probably going to be very effective. Roach Warren's on the way now. And actually, Classic's being a little reticent about moving out on the map here. He loses a Stalker, but there we go. That's the shade. And the Warp Prism is leading the charge. So, hot pickups, the ability to warp in, all these wonderful things. And let's see how much damage he can get done. More and more Lings are on the way. We're looking at 7 Queens, so that strong defensive front will be there. And it's going to be difficult, as always, for Classic to find the value he wants. But notice the Warp Prism already is just finding its way into the main base. He's going to try to split up the army of soO to a point where Adepts can shade in and get some damage. So 2 Adepts, they get shaded, and Warp Prism taking some damage, but no whole damage, not just yet. And Adepts try to move forward. Yeah, they get 1 Queen. Hey, that's very nice. They're going to get a 2nd here as well. Yeah, it's the only high energy one that remains. Transfuse trying to keep it alive, but now there's going to be a 3rd Queen going to start to go down, but Lings get the full surround. Roaches arrive as well. The Adepts, they're all dead. And only 2 workers have fallen. 4 Adepts are in the main base, but they're just not enough to kill all that much, although they will get another Queen. And with the, well, pickup range being what it is, Warp Prism moves in, gets all of them out. Emergency evacuation indeed. But soO really has not taken at least too much economic damage from this, or army damage for this, to be totally honest. He's lost queens. In fact, he's lost 4 queens, which does start to hurt his creep spread. But he does have 3 queens still remaining. He's building more, and that means he can at least inject every single base. The Adepts are going to shade in, try to get a couple more workers, get 2, shade out, and the first round of this was not incredible. For Classic, not really. But round 2, when he started to kill queens everywhere and started to get a couple more workers here and there, that is actually starting to be a lot nicer for the Chin Toss. So we're going to have to see just how well this works on out for him. As now Adepts active on the map, and they're knocking down a decent amount of creep spread, but the Lings and the Ravagers, they're going to get the surround, so this really should go down. And now it's a bit scary for Classic, is that Adept Shade will complete, but it's only really 2 of them, although the Warp Prism is here, so yes, there are 6 Adepts, but 4 of them will be able to get saved, so nice job again. And soO is just droning up again. I was going to say it's getting maybe a little scary for Classic, because losing that number of Adepts means you're not going to have a lot of army. But soO is just redroning behind this. And actually, Classic is taking his 4th base even faster. He's got Immortals here as well. So I don't know that soO can break this, and it looks like he's not going to try. He's got a Spire on the way. He's going to move and do some level of likely Muta play. And by the time the Lings show up on the other side of the map, trying to put pressure on this 4th base, maybe before it's a cancel, there's already a wall here. The Adepts, the Immortals can just kind of sit behind him, but Lings, they go full Magellan. They circumnavigate, and they're trying at least, but the Adepts on the other side, again, distracting soO. And Classic, really a tour de force in what to do when the initial Adept pressure does not kill your opponent. That is a grand total of 12 workers dead at this point. Yes, it's 18 Adepts, but 12 workers, 28 Lings, and 4 Queens. And the big deal, Classic's 4th base is just about done. soO's only halfway done here, and yes, there's going to be a Spire, and that's actually the big thing. Because there is no Blink, there is no Templar Archives, there is nothing really to build the anti-air that Classic wants. He will have to rely on slow stalkers and cannons for a time. So this timing, as much damage as soO is taking, as good as the economic situation that Classic has built for himself is, these mutas are going to hit like a freight train. Although, of course, on the flip side, if you run across the map right as the mutas show up, that can be scary as well. But with the Baneling, I love the addition of Banelings. That actually makes so much sense. Because it's a heavy Adept army. That is what Classic has been warping in. That's where his upgrades are. And Banelings against Adepts are just really not good. But where are the mutas? They're showing up now, trying to find a way onto the other side of the map. There are 8 of them. That actually, with there being no anti-air in this army, Stalkers, they're winding their way over now. That's a bit of a problem. But as I say that, there's actually no mutas in the army. They're all on the other side. So mutas, they're going to force a bit of a base trade here. Blink is very far away from completion, but +1 is done right now. More Banelings are on the way. Stalkers kill an Overlord. And this 4th base of soO will be forfeit. But there is nothing that Classic has to defend this. And notice what is he target fire? It's the Forge immediately. That means no cannon. So Adepts, they're going to shade away Blink, or they're just going to move backwards here. Nice splits for the moment. And the Immortals on the front lines. soO's just got to have this one. He cannot hold on to his economy. He has like no anti-air. The mutas are going to start to arrive. Pop the Hardy and shields. And the Roaches, the Ravagers, they're doing so damn much. Stalkers warp in now, but their Blink is only just now completing. This does not feel like Classic's game, despite how well everything went in the mid game. He's losing just about everything here. Stalkers are here, but they're going to go down. There is nowhere for them to go. Immortal stays alive as long as it can, but it's dead. Warp Prism's dead. Classic, folks, he's dead here, and there's nothing doing. soO, yes, he lost a hatch, but I don't think he cares all that much. It's going to be retaken immediately. The mutas are pretty much indefensible at this point. Or undefendable, actually, not necessarily indefensible. And the Zealot runs out of the wall anyways. The Lings continue to bully the Zealot out of the wall. That's not all that common. Surprised to see soO taking the fight with the mutas and not with the roaches, but at this point the economy is getting really and truly shattered. Although it's really kind of an awkward handling here from, yes, soO is winning this game, but it really could have been so much cleaner. And now he's going to find his way in. Shield batteries, they warp in just to their doom. Overcharge, well, it's not going to last all that long. Cannons in the mineral lines, they're going to follow pretty quickly here. Biles on the pylon on the high ground. All the probes at this third base will fall. And the mutas, they're feasting. There is a glut of probes that they can eat, and they are having a wonderful, wonderful time. Stalkers blink on the low ground, but Classic, folks, he's dead. soO takes game one, really from the not the best position in the mid game. The mutas, when you have 0 anti-air in your army, mutas do a damn fine job. In the bottom left, folks, in the blue, up 1-0. He is for the Freaks. His mutas were damn fine. soO. And in the upper right, in the red. He's down a game, trying to take us to game number 3 and maybe a day with Hero. It is Classic. Or Classique, if you believe in the French. I personally don't believe the French exists, so yeah. But okay, this is interesting. Classic opting not to go in pro block in game number 2. This does mean that certainly soO is going to get his hatch up much more efficiently. And while this was not the pro block being a thing or something that was problematic for Zergs, it's less so now. It does actually, according to a laser, it's always going to be worthwhile because the money you lose by having to send drones from your main base to where your third base is, and just the lack of mining time from that is probably worth more than the mining time you lose by sending the probe across the map and back, even if it is on a big map like Data C. Now, I have not mathed it out. I don't know. But at least that is a laser's claim, and I'm willing to take the word of a professional player, if not at face value, at least at, you know, somewhat face value. I'm willing to give him at least the benefit of the doubt. So Classic went to depths in game 1. He did not get damage done from the first bit of pressure, but after that, I mean, he got a lot. He got 4 queens. He killed 15, 16 workers, and he was really, it was feeling like he was in a great spot. But then he went this follow-up army, which would have worked pretty decent, you know, maybe against a ground-pounding army. Even then, when the Banelings popped out, it really didn't. But certainly it wasn't going to work against mutas. Certainly, though, Classic not going in depth this game. His Stargate is now done. Oracle's on the way, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Tropical is a map that is, you know, decent. It's big, but it does have a relatively short rush distance. There's nothing small about this one. Data C has tons of bases. It has a long rush distance. There is nothing that recommends it for going in some sorts of adept play. So Oracle is now on the map. And ooh, behind this, he's going to Phoenix. Single Oracle into Phoenix is not something that we see all that often. Now, I expect to see a second Oracle behind this, and then you just see the kind of Queen Lift technique. But again, Phoenix, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Not something that we see all that often when you could have a third Oracle and get all those stasis traps and have that better third base defense and be able to get your third base all that quickly as the Oracle dives in. 2 workers fall, make it 3, but that's a pretty wounded Oracle. And if you're going for the Phoenix idea, you want to be able to go and have your Oracles be decently strong. Even still, 3 workers will fall. There we go. There's the second Oracle. You know, there's a world maybe Classic gets a third. I doubt it. Third Oracle, I mean, not a third base. Oh, that'd be cool if we saw stats in here. He has, I know he's been streaming some. But if we started to see stats in EPT cups, and honestly, even more, I think TY comes off a military soon. So if we could get him back, we have the holy trinity of 3 Terrans. All right, you have TY, Bunny, and 4. Actually, TY, Bunny, Maru, and beyond at the top of the table in Korea. That'd be a lot of fun. Gumiho maybe if he finds the way back, but there we go. Oracles and the Phoenix, they dive in. This is an old school technique, and it's going to work out decently well, but there are queens here, so really only 3 workers will fall, and we are, by the way, only on 2 oracles. It is the choice between getting that Phoenix or that 3rd oracle, and I think for my druthers, I would rather have that 3rd oracle. It gives you so much more utility on the map, whereas the Phoenix, it lifts queens kind of. Maybe it lifts a Ravager in the fight. It knocks down some overlords, but it takes a long time to do it. I don't know. But anyways, for now, charge on the way, +1, Templar Archives, all these wonderful things. This is a build that really has been taking the Korean meta by storm recently because it really plays well into the counter hero style of +1 melee, tons of lings. Is a nice job there. Oracle's now starting to get a little bit more. The Phoenix gets very low and will go down, but hey, what was that? 13 drones hitting the deck. That's actually starting to be something, but oh, look at this. Talking about old school. This is a game, I swear this is a game from like 2016. We have classic opening, Oracle Phoenix, Oracle to deny scouting and then lift up queens to make sure his oracles get more damage. We have soO hiding a Spire under a bunch of overlords pooping creep. This would only be even more old school if he proxied in like the upper left side of the map or something. And it's going to be Charizard Archon. Effectively Phoenix into Charizard Archon. I mean, this is both classic and soO playing styles that they were winning championships with, 5 years ago. But for now, 4th base halfway done for soO. Actually, Classics is again on the same time, maybe even a little faster. So the one thing Classic has been doing in this series very well is making sure that he gets his economy going on time. With these mutas, they're gonna pop out. I really don't like this. Do we have a Warp Prism? No, we don't. Actually, do we even have a Robo? We do. There's just no Warp Prism. So this pressure is scary, but there's no real ability to reinforce it. That being said, though, the mutas are just useless. So probes have to get, or drones have to get pulled away. Archon's trying to get on top of that for now, though they will not be able to. And Classic seems like he's kind of content to just rally across the map for the moment. Good transfuse on the Wounded Roach, and now soO realizing that, yeah, there's actually no warp ins here. So the army that soO has, the army that soO will have, so damage now on the Archons, chasing it off creep, but the Roaches have speed, so that's going to be 1 dead Archon. 2nd Archon getting very low as the Zealots run forward, looking to just serve as a bit of a buffer. Adepts will fall here as well, and all this was scary if Classic had warp ins. As he doesn't, it really is not nearly as much. There's 1 Phoenix on the way, because I think he saw the mutas, although Archons, ooh, the Archon's not going to turn around and take a shot in the mutas. They can magic box that anyways. That is going to be a dead Archon right before it gets in range of the shield battery overcharge. The stock is now running backwards, doing what they can to force this back, but again, Classic feels like he's getting a little bit too fancy. He's getting a little bit too big for his britches, going for all these styles and these ideas that are cool, but does it matter when Classic's just going to shove your face in? I don't think so. Certainly, though, if Classic can get himself up to 150 supply, he's going to be in a much better spot to just have enough to defend everywhere. And the disruptors on the map make it hard for soO to end this game. But soO... My God. Again, this is 2015, 2016 all over again. Although we did see Phoenix Corruptor. We've seen Phoenix Corruptor more consistently in the last 18 months, probably. Not in the last 6, though. But soO is just leaning into Muta Corruptor versus what will eventually, theoretically, be Phoenix Fortress. So you'll love to see it. Old school stuff that Classic has traditionally been very good at. And now he's dropping a couple more Stargates that will get scattered out, by the way. Fleet Beacon as well. But when we were seeing this Corruptor or Phoenix or Muta Corruptor idea, it was in part to delay. I really just prevent the mass Sky Toss late game transition, right? The carrier idea, because you just could not afford to lose the build time. Yeah, you can build Void Rays, but you can't build, and you can build Phoenix, but you can't really build carriers. You're gonna get you're just gonna get flooded too hard by the Phoenix and by the Mutas and the Corruptors. So you need those Phoenix, you need those Void Rays. And let's see if soO can establish that tempo. Because for now, Fleet Beacon is done. And also the question, is this going to be for any pulse? Okay, no, it's just going to be carriers. I don't know that Classic loves his carriers, but I don't know that I like that with the tempo-based army that soO has been making. He's got 7 Corruptors, 14 Mutas. That actually fights the Sky Army really well indeed, and he's going to find his way in the main base. Mutas are going to first target down... Yeah, there we go. We're going to target down the Robo Bay, get damage on the Templar Archives as well. The Phoenix are going to arrive, but the Corruptors are just buffering for this. So the Stalkers, they're going to have to warp into the main. Here comes Banelings rolling right on in, and they're going to get some good splash damage to start. In fact, I think they got a Disruptor. I'm not totally sure. But the first set of carriers are about to pop out here on the map, and as the Mutas, well, they're going to have to dive in even more. Shield Battery Overcharge, well, it's not available, but there's a Shield Battery here even still. And the Mutas don't have quite enough to punch on through, but the big deal, soO sees that there are carriers on the way. So his response, more Mutas. But now the carriers are out, and yeah, Corruptors, I mean, this is technically good for soO, right? Just because he has such a more maneuverable army, but his Classic is doing such a great job of turtling up. I don't know that soO has gotten the damage he wants, and there's a timing, probably around +1 and when we're on 6 carriers, where suddenly this army that soO has that has so much tempo and so much mobility on the map and the ability to harass, it just becomes far less effective. Already, Classic's army is worth about as much gas as soO's is. The Baneling's now going to try to roll on in, knocking down a pylon. There we go. There's no shield battery there. Phoenix even trying to lift whatever they can, and the carriers are going to do a great job defensively on the rest of it. So yeah, some walls go down and some pylons go down, but no economic damage. And if soO continues to do that, that's going to be a problem. But okay, there we go. There's pressure on the north side. Roaches and Ravagers not at the front. Banelings try to zone everything back, but still, soO is just not getting what he wants, and his hive is very late. He will not have the Vipers that he wants to make something happen. Not really. Now Mutas, they're diving in and getting some more economic damage done, to be totally fair. Cannons are going to start to fall here as well. 5 probes have died, and as the Phoenix arrive, I mean, they don't fight the Corruptors, especially not with +1. So there is that. The upgrades actually are really nice. The fact that Mutas are going to have +2 so quickly, but Mutas do not fight carriers. Not really, but if you dive on top of them with Corruptors, here they go. Shield Battery Overcharges pop, though, and Mutas have to run away. They're not going to be able to really get on top of the Shield Battery, and, well, they're trying to fight. Technically, Mutas do fight the Glaives well enough, and that is what they are trying to do here, but 29 Glaives still remain. And base has still not been dealt with. Where's the rest of soO's armies? It's just kind of idling on the bottom side, and the Mutas, they're just not taking good fights. Carriers are now 6 in number, and Corruptors, they're just starting to fall. Now, that being said, Phoenix are dead. Mutas are a little bit more powerful now. The shield batteries are actually not there. Corruptors trying to dive on top of things, but there's just not enough of them. Not yet. And Classic is maxed out. He has his +2 just about done, +1 shields on the way as well. Big deal there for the Interceptors, which are of course more shields than they are armor. And now Classic's onto the nip. He's rounding out his deck, +2 shields on the way, getting air armor, getting storm. And soO has never really been one of these late game spellcaster, viper, infester type of players. He's always been a player that has thrived in the mid game, and even if he's in the late game, he's tried to bring the mid game to the late game. Well, that doesn't really work all that well. Oh, big disruptors here. That doesn't really work if you're playing against a Skytoss player like what Classic is doing. So at least soO is transitioning in units that he can attack with, right? He's got Ultra Cavern just about done. He's got +3 melee. He's got Adrenal Glands. But the fact that there are no Vipers and the fact that there are no Infestors and there's just the Spellcasters are lacking makes life incredibly difficult for soO. And in fact, with this +2 carrier time, it is going to be damn hard for soO to be able to break this back. Now, do we have any High Templar on the map? We actually don't. Storm is almost done, but there are no High Templar building up energy, so there's no third tier of splash. It's just the Disruptors and the Archons. Even still, though, this is a terrifying army from Classic. He's maxed out. He's got +2 in the air on ground. And the Corruptors are going to have to take a great fight here. Disruptor shots blowing up everything on the ground, but Corruptors actually found a nice... No! Corruptors have found an incredible position here. Archons are not fighting, but even still, the army's a little bit disjointed. The Corruptors, they're not running away! The Stalkers are killing so many. Banelings come crashing into the Archons, though. Even still, Archons survive. Classic survives. soO does not transition appropriately. And folks, we are going to game 3. Bottom right side of the map, folks, in the blue. It took game 1, fell in the second, did not transition appropriately. It is soO. And in the upper left, in the red. Again, taking game 2 in the late game. Classic. Classic opened to depths, did not work out in the extreme in game 1. Game 2 opened Stargate play. soO tried to break him with Phoenix Corruptor, and Classic turtled really well. I got his tech out. It didn't take much damage, and then, well, you run Banelings into bases, and if you don't get the damage you want, that just becomes very cost ineffective very, very quickly. I can see this being a Twilight map coming in for Classic in game 3, though. As, well, Cosmic is a pretty good Zerg map, so you might want to try to kneecap them before they get truly up and running. And on top of that, the rush distance between the naturals ain't bad. Certainly between the thirds is very, very close. So, let's see if that one happens. Now, if we're reading into anything all that much. If we're reading in, if we're trying too hard to read into things, we will note, of course, that Classic did probe block. Game 1, he went Adepts. He went Twilight first. Game 2, he did not probe block. He went Stargate. Game 3, he has probe blocked. All right. So it will be Stargate, though. Our next level meta analysis is not going to work out here. Not in this game, at the very least. We can try, though. Read into the patterns too strongly, and sometimes suddenly you start looking at the ones and zeros, and, well, that doesn't work out incredibly well. So, Dep's going to try to find its way into the third base. Nice job there. It's going to get a worker. Maybe that's not going to get a second. Does shade out, though, and that's a little bit, nice little bit of a start coming in for soO at this point, as the Oracles are now getting ready. Question, though, is this Phoenix? Oh, Oracle into Void Ray. Now, it's kind of funny. I've talked to a couple of pros about this, because this Void Ray opening doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the responses I get vary from... Actually, yeah, they don't understand quite why the Protoss do it, coming from the Zergs, to haha, thick beam go burr, coming from Estrella. So I haven't gotten a really satisfactory response. But anyway, Oracle dives and gets 2 workers, gets very low, though. Does have to get out. There's the third. But the closest I get to an answer is like, okay, well, if the Zerg sends 2 overlords on the other side of the map, that's probably worthwhile. But soO only sent 1. And so, yes, this will deny scouting, but yeah, it's not going to work out not all that well. What it does also do, it does mean that the Protoss doesn't maybe need to get a Stalker early, which means you can get more Adepts early defensively, which can be worth something. That's about the only thing, the only other way I understand this. But for now, it's a Stargate opener, Oracle into Void Ray, but Twilight, additional gateways, Forge. We're gonna see Blink. Oh, actually, what am I saying? Classic has really been loving the Charge-Lot Archon opener. So that is probably what is going to happen. And there we go. Charge +1 on the way. Templar Archive is going to go down soon enough. And the question now, though, is whether we see Classic actually get a Warp Prism. because last game he actually had a pretty nice timing on soO's third base where it felt like he could get something done. And then he just didn't. He didn't have a Warp Prism. He didn't have reinforcements, so he lost all of his Zealots. He lost one Archon, and eventually it didn't end up mattering. He took the game in the late game, but it felt like he had a very strong timing. But oh, there's the problem. Lings find their way into the main base, and they will get a full scout on everything, and they're going to kill off a couple probes. Now, a full mineral line versus just 4 Lings does not kill... Well, the probes kill that pretty well, especially with the Adept's Warp in, but even still, 4 workers have gone down. So the damage that, well, Classic fought hard for kind of been invalidated. And it seems like Classic, while he may have had that strong timing, he's not going to try to go for that in the extreme in this game. He's already transitioning to his next level of tech. He does have the Temple Archives, sure, but there's a Robo-Bay on the way. So he's going to add in those disruptors pretty damn quickly. And folks, this is looking very much like a rehash of what we saw in that game number. And then really in that game number 2. It's going to be Templar Archives on the way. Charge just about done. Charge let Archon move out probably right as all these upgrades are complete. But on the flip side, well, it's going to be Disruptors behind that. And soO has gone for his Spire once again. He seems like he really likes going for Spire play in ZVPs. Well, Revelation on a Creep Tumor. Single Creep Tumor gets revelated. Most important thing in the game. But anyway, that Spire is just about done. Disruptors are already starting to hit the field, and Classic's got his 4th base on the way. So again, both players seem very interested in powering their way to the late game, at least the later part of the mid game, as quick as they can. And this does seem to be something that favors Classic. It seems like, from what I have seen, not only watching him, cast recently, just historically, he has been a pretty solid late game player, at least early late game. We've absolutely seen him build big leads against Beyond in these cups, and then kind of throw it all away in some late game fights. But it does seem to be where his strength is, and I would argue that is where Protoss is strongest against Zerg, just conceptually. And soO, he's very much a Peter Pan Zerg. He's a mid-game hero. Even if he's going into the late game, he's doing it off of mid-game tech for the most part. And that is something that's really hard to make happen. But the Spire is done. Mutas are now, however, are not being made. It's more Creep Tumors, and this is a very strong pushing position that soO's got made for himself. Bunches of Roaches, bunches of Ravagers trying to find their way in, but Stasis Traps are here to micro back towards, and Shield Batteries, well, they're already at the front line. Disruptor Shot gets 1 Ravager, and the Disruptors are the big thing, but the creep being so far forward means the Roaches can run away just a little bit better. 4 Archons, though, plugging up this gap, making it rather hard for the Roaches to get what they want, even as we do, of course, see a bunch of Roaches move forward. But now more and more Disruptors are getting added to the fray. Now it's only single Robo, so the Ravagers or the Disruptors only come out 1 at a time, but the Archons are doing so much here with the ability to replenish their shields like this, and Disruptors are just making it so hard for soO to really take the engagement that he wants. And this means now that, well, Classic supply is starting to climb once again. Oh, Miles are going to get dropped. Those are nice, but Shield Battery means that they don't really matter. But the Mutas, the 16 Mutas on the way, they are maybe going to be the thing that is going to break the back of Classic. He's got Archons in the front line, but does he have cannons? He's got cannon. Well, he's got 1 cannon in the main base, 1 cannon in the natural, 1 cannon. He's actually pretty well defended against this. So these Mutas may not be able to get as much as they want. Classic already transitioning into the late game, and he feels comfortable enough to move out here, start to knock some of this creep spread out, start to contest some of the army. But here come the Mutas, and they're going to find their way in. That cannon in the middle line doesn't have a shield battery keeping it alive, but, well, folks, Blink is done. +1 is done. The Stalkers, they just kind of warp in, and Mutas, they don't get much at the start. They get, like, 2 probes. Maybe even, actually, I think there was just 1 probe. So Phoenix now getting made, and these Phoenix can be made 3 at a time. Wow. What? Fleet Beacon, here we go. Does make anti-pulse crystals possible as well, because, well, soO has committed to this more than he did in the last game, as the cannons are starting to fall. Oh, that's a big pylon. That is going to shut down 3 Phoenix at a time, and that makes this so much harder, actually, for Classic to defend. 4 Phoenix, it's doable. This amount though. 2 Phoenix not nearly as powerful. So 13, 14 probes have fallen. The icing on the cake, of course, would be if soO was putting pressure on an extra base as these mutas were doing things, but there are too many disruptors and too many archons on the field to just really kind of 1A them into a mineral line while something else is happening. And microing the mutas here is, of course, it's so easy to lose all of your mutas like that. So for now, 25 workers have gone down. More and more Phoenix are getting made, but notice soO not remaking the mutas. In fact, he's not really remaking anything for the moment. He's just building more and more Banes. 28 Banes on the deck. In Classic, he's committing hard to the anti-muta play. He's got 3 more on the way behind this. But even with the Baneling swap here into this more ground army once again, Lings and Banes, this is a pretty powerful army that Classic has against that. He's building more Archons. The Phoenix will be dealt with. Here's the Banes. Oh, what a massive stasis trap. If he can time out a disruptor shot as well, I mean, that's just going to be the end of this pressure. But that is damn hard to do. So we're going to have to see, is he going to try? Classic. He's got about, what is this? He's one who sends out a shot right now. And he's going to try to go for it. Misses, second shot goes off, and Zealots actually go for it. But the Archons, they tank the shot. So it's going to be fine at the end of the day. Classic doesn't get the free shot, but he does get the... he does get a pretty powerful one. And now he's moving out of the map here. No Banelings, really. They're all getting morphed in. And Classic, he may have found his opening. Yeah, he's got a late game transition, but the mid game is certainly enough right now. Queens are now all falling. Disruptor shot on all the Banes, and they get so many. Archons, yeah, a couple of them evaporate, but they trade so damn cost effectively. And folks, we have a bunch of Corruptors here. The Phoenix are not the important component of this army. Yeah, carriers are on the way, but the Phoenix don't really matter. The Void Array doesn't really matter. It's these Archons and these Stalkers are the units that truly matter. The Disruptors as well, canceling so many of those Banes. And soO is just falling apart here. He tried to make something happen, but again, he stays on the mid game too long, and the late game is far too powerful. So Classic, he goes, he withstands the pressure from soO. He moves on. He's got a date with Hero in the next round.